Welcome to the Advice Show, media with the common sense approach. So there's a black woman that is walking around with a Confederate battle flag. And I want you to hear her reasoning for it. And she's going to say something in this interview that is the most ridiculous thing I ever heard in my life, outside of her walking around with that flag. Let me roll the clip.
If you would like to know a little bit about Karen Cooper, I don't like to be told what to do. I'm a proud Virginia flagger, and we are at Hollywood Cemetery in Richmond, Virginia. I grew up in New York. I was a member of the Nation of Islam in New York. You know, the Nation of Islam thinks, races should be separate, black and white and stuff like that. And then I came down here and we were more together, and I just realized, I was like, well, that can't be right because there's a lot of nice white folks. I mean, people wave to me that I've never known. The North, they claim that they like black people and they care about black people, but it is so segregated, it's not funny. I felt more welcomed in the South. I believe in a very limited, very small government. I joined the Tea Party because I actually wanted to tell people that the federal government shouldn't be doing all of this stuff that they're doing. You are not to control every aspect of our life. And so on Facebook, I started meeting, my friends who was in the Tea Party. They were mostly, they had Confederate ancestors. Then I met this lady, Susan Hathaway, and she started flagging. And I said, well, I should go out there and flag with her because, one, I support, Confederate history, and two, it's a great way to show my freedom of speech. It's my right to be able to be out there in public with the battle flag, so that's why I did it. I know what people think about when they see the battle flag. All they think is KKK and we hate black people, or we want to bring slavery back. So I knew it was going to be something for people to see a black woman with the battle flag. Actually, most people don't even stop to talk to me because I think they in such shock to see me out there with the battle flag. I don't even think they don't have the nerve to even ask why I'm out there. I'm not advocating slavery or think that, it was right. It wasn't, and none of my friends think it was. It was just something that happened, and it just didn't happen in the South. It happened worldwide. I've said this before, and people gonna think it's horrible, but I believe slavery is a choice. And I say that because of what Patrick Henry said, give me liberty or give me death. To me, if we ever went back to that kind of slavery, no, I couldn't do it. Give me death. I feel I'm a slave now because the federal government does control me. I can't smoke what I want to smoke. I can't drink what I want to drink. If I want to put something into my body, it's my body, not theirs. So what gives them the right to tell me what I should do? That's tyranny. But yet and still, it's only the Southerners and it's only the battle flag that has all the weight and the guilt on it, and it's not right. It's not right. I actually think that it represents freedom. It represents a people who stood up to tyranny. And by me being out there, I hope that you would see this is not racist. I mean, how can it be racist if I'm out there with them? I'm talking with them. I'm hugging them, I'm conversing them. These are my best friends that I'm out here with. What I hope to change or to accomplish is just to, wake a few people's minds up and stop believing that that flag is about race. I want them to stop thinking that, but that's up to them. In the end, I'm just doing it for me. It makes me feel good. Right? That's why I put myself out there.
Now, for me, with this whole situation, it's not even about the flag. It is about this woman. And I looked at this and I just like, are you really kidding me? My thing is, I said to many other brothers and sisters, why is it that we are the only group in America that have to still be a slave? Understand something. That woman didn't grow up on nobody's plantation. A lot of other black people didn't grow up on nobody's plantation. The people before them didn't grow up on a plantation. But yet their mindset is still like a slave. The mentality that a lot of black people have is still slave-minded. Now, this woman said that slavery was a choice, and she said that Patrick Henry said, give me liberty or give me death. You see what happens when you have an uneducated mind. Because see, if this woman had any sort of education of her history, she would know of the many slave revolts. Why is it that you thought they created the police in the South, or AKA slave patrol, to stop slave revolts and to catch captured slaves? Not every slave just stayed in bondage and, oh, woe is us, we slaves, until Abraham Lincoln just freed the slaves. No, there was many slave revolts. You remember Nat Turner? I bet you know who Nat Turner is at all. And because they made a movie about Nat Turner, because they're not going to indoctrinate kids to know that, wait a minute, they just didn't stay lowly slaves, did they? No, they actually fought back. They didn't talk about all the black slaves that escaped to Mexico and joined the Mexican army. They're not talking about the black slaves that got with the Seminole Indians and they fought against them. They didn't talk about that. They don't talk about a brother like John Horace was a black Seminole Indian leader. They don't talk about all that sort of stuff because they don't want you to know. They want you to be ignorant so you continue to be a slave. Understand something. Slaves couldn't even get an education because knowledge is power. And this is why slaves like this woman is created, because she have no knowledge of self. Because if she had any knowledge of self and she had any knowledge of that flag, had any knowledge of the creators of that flag, what they said about that flag, what they said about black people when they created that, she would be waving around that flag. An uneducated mind is very dangerous, brothers and sisters. It really is. And that's why you see this woman walking around spewing this stuff and have no sense of what she's even doing. It's very sad. The thing is, a lot of black people have been indoctrinated to be slaves. Because think about it, you have, and I talk about this on the radio show, you have a lot of old school black people. What they used to tell you when you go into the store, now don't go in there making too much noise or making a scene in front of them white people. Like, and as a kid, I used to look at them like, what? In front of white people? Why can you say, I never hear you say in front of Mexicans, Asians, Arabs, Native Americans, who nobody else, just them white folks. And no white people told you to say that, but that's the way you act because you are indoctrinated to be a slave. And the thing is, that slave mentality has been passed down in the black community for generation to generation to generation. Every time you say something to a black person, what's the first thing they do? Well, white people do it too, or white people. Because you look at white people as superior to you because you've been indoctrinated in your household. Not white people in general, but you've been indoctrinated in your household to be a doggone slave. And that's why you say white people do it too. I never hear you say Arabs do it too, or Mexicans, or whatever group that you want to name. You never say nobody else but just white people. You notice that? Because many of you are slaves in your mind due to not being educated. Because I'm telling you, when I got educated about our history, when I got educated about who we are, where we come from, we didn't come from no doggone slave plantations. The civilizations we came from, the religion, the science, and everything that we created and how we ran the world for thousands of years. Okay, that will embolden you in your mind to think, I am not no lowly slave. I don't have a generations and generation of slaves. I come from greatness, not that. So what? But see, you have to indoctrinate slaves. Now, one thing I agree with her about is the way the government works, how they want to control everything. That's a separate political thing, and I have to agree with her on that. But on the aspect of black people and saying that basically black people chose to be slaves. So what did they do? They get off of the slave ship Okay, because they made great accommodations for him when on the slave ship itself. Okay, so they got over here. What they do? They brought him up in a line and say, "Hey, how you doing? I want to offer you a job. And this job, you'll work all day and you stay, at the plantation, and we'll feed you, we'll clothe you. Now, man, if you get out of line, we may, beat you. If we like one of your daughters, we gonna snatch them in the middle of the night right in front of you and rape them. Hey, if we like guys, we're gonna rape guys too. Because yes." They were black men getting raped by other men too in slavery. This stuff didn't just start. Okay, raping your children and doing all kind of other stuff, doing gross medical experiments on black women and black children. And then what if they say, if we need some alligator bait, we'll take your baby and tie a rope to it and throw it and try to catch alligator too. In Louisiana and Florida. So if you want to sign up for that, check yes and check no, and that's fine. And what do you think? Most of these black people just say, I'm going to check yes to that. They say, okay, well, go ahead there over there to Master Johnson, and he'll take you to the plantation. You got some chains waiting for you. All right, next. Come on now. Some people should just really not open their mouth because it lets you know how dumb you are, how silly you are when you don't pick up a book and read or look on Google or wherever you want to go read something at. Brothers and sisters, get educated in your mind because you don't want to look like a slave like this. This woman is the epitome of a slave. Just silly. She say nobody talks to her when she over there. What does that tell you, you fool? You don't belong there. They don't look at you as one of their people. You stupid face. If they thought you were so great, they'd be welcoming you, not just the group that you with. Come on. You the person they use to say, well, we're not racist. We walk with her. You that black friend they say they have when they're not racist. Oh, Lord, these people in our community, they sad. A lot of them sad. Now, I can't stomach them. A lot of them, I don't fool with them. Be yourself. Look at the Mexicans right now, Hispanic community. They're not up there trying to sing the praises of Donald Trump. They're not wearing his clothes. They're not talking about, we staying at the Trump Plaza because he gave us a discount to prove he's not racist. None of that. They had the attitude, F Donald Trump. And they sticking to their guns. And I got nothing but praise for them for that. But leave it to black people? No, you have slaves just like this one. Won't stand up for nothing. Got to make sure to let Massa know that you're okay with him and he's still great. It just sickens me. I wish black people would be like the Hispanic community on activism. And then if they do something that don't even work. Hands up, don't shoot, and rioting and everything. Just the other night, I just had the brother that confronted Geraldo Rivera on the radio show, interviewing him, okay? And I asked him a simple question. Has anything in Baltimore changed since all the rioting? He said no. And that lets you know right there. Rioting did not work. I discussed boycotts work. Getting together economically work. Stop spending our money. That works. But no, you don't want to do that because they require discipline. Because you act like you got to give Foot Locker your money and you line up like a herd of cattle to go get some Jordans. But I guess I'm wrong for saying something like that. Because you some slaves too. That's why everybody disrespect black people. For what? There's no consequences. You keep your money in their hands. I never seen a group of people like that. Could slap you in the face and you still give them your money. Not me. I ain't like that. But I guess to each his own. Get mad if you want, but I'm telling the truth about some of you. I am. Please read a book. Please think about what you're doing. Spend your money wisely. Create your own businesses. And stop begging these folks everything. Get off them welfare and food stamps. We wasn't on that mess before. And we were thriving a lot better. We wasn't on that crap. I wish the government cut that mess off. I'll be all in support of it so we can get our act together. Now, this woman here just really pisses me off. She does, because I can't stand slaves like that. I really can't. Hit me up in the comments, future commentaries, subscribe.